Does it feel like every part of your life is divided? Every scenario, every environment, your church, your school, your work, your friends, left, right, conservative, liberal, religious, secular. It seems you always have to take a side. This is a conversation between a progressive Christian and a conservative atheist who happen to be great friends. Welcome to Living on Common Ground.
Do you think if we met today, we would still be friends?
I don't know, but we're friends now.
A mob is known as a mob because they're with you.
Man, so what? We won a few games. And y'all fools think that's something? Man, that ain't nothing, y'all. And you know what else? We ain't nothing either. Yeah, we came together in camp. Cool. But then we're right back here and the world tells us that they don't want us to be together. We fall apart like we ain't a damn bit of nothing, man.
Morning.
Yep.
So I'm glad to be back actually in studio with you.
You're all refreshed.
I don't know about that. I worked the whole time I was there. It was nice though, because even as you're working, you're looking out the window at the beach. So that was nice.
That's pretty luxurious.
It was, but I will say I don't like the way I looked on the video.
Oh, I didn't look.
Why? Because my face looks puffy
in
the video, and I'm vain. Don't forget, and so it matters to me. And of course, only people that are going to see it are the people that subscribe to the Substack, because it's available on Substack, but the video itself, like,
is only available
just the description.
For
Just the description goes to everybody.
Well, now
then the video itself goes to subscribers.
Now you know, people. Go subscribe, and you can see
Jeff's puffy face.
Puffy face.
Yep, isn't that great? If that's not a promo for it, I don't know what is. All right, but speaking of the Substack account, you had mentioned that you wanted to discuss one of my recent articles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had
thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I had seen. I'd read your post, and I don't remember what it was called, but you did the Jesse Jackson pastor thing where you rhymed it.
Oh,
engagement or enragement.
Engaged or enraged. What we're really teaching our children about the world. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I read through the whole thing and liked it a lot. And I reached out and told you that I liked it, and I agreed with it. And I agreed with the underlying tenor of what we are. I think that it is a good segue into a discussion or a contemplation of how we should be approaching our kids' development when it comes to social development in general. And I think about this a lot, and this is my, as we get into this conversation, I think it'll be clear that this is just my temperament anyway. I think you make a lot of good points, but mostly I think you make good points because they line up with how I feel.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But I think about this a lot. Like, should we be, okay, so in the world, there are little babies who get killed. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. On purpose. Mm-hmm. We don't probably need to talk to 4-year-olds about that.
Right.
That seems pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
But if you said we shouldn't be talking to 28-year-olds about that, we should be protecting them from that. That would seem weird also.
Sure.
And so I think that there's some sort of range of developmentally appropriate positioning that we can think about as adults when it comes to kids. And I think what happens a lot of times is, I as an individual can look back and see the progression of my understanding of the world, whether it's more right today than it was 15 years ago or not, right? And I think that everyone is in this exact same situation. Ironically, no matter where you are, you feel that right now you have kind of the truth of how things are. And you can look back and you can go, well, I thought differently back then, but now I know, right? And I think that there is an argument that's made, even if it's not made explicitly, but there's an instinct that I should not be giving my kids or anybody else this 15 years ago version of me that I now think is wrong, right? I should be only telling the truth, right? Hitchens used to say, it is immoral to lie to children. And that seems like a very prima facie correct thing to say, right? But we all know instinctively, if we start to get into the nitty gritty of that, that is not, it's not that just that it's not appropriate at all levels of development. It's not healthy. It's not, it very easily could skew someone's psyche, And so, your post about how should we be encouraging kids to interact with the world, right? To use your word, to engage with the world. I thought was a really good contemplation to think about this kind of thing. What's appropriate to be? What is it that we want from what is it that we want for a 15-year-old? What kind of life do we want for them for the next year? Right? Not when they're 28, right now.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought it was good. Maybe you can kind of talk about what your thoughts were on it.
Yeah.
Kind of describe the post.
Yeah. So what had happened was we had I wrote it the day of the walkout at the high schools here in Mount Juliet. Well, in Wilson County, right? And actually, I think I wrote it. That was on a Friday. I sat down Saturday morning at my kitchen table with a pot of coffee, and began to just sort of process what I had witnessed over the last 12 to 16 hours. And so if you don't live here in Wilson County, Tennessee, what had happened was, I don't know how they coordinated, but all of the different high schools coordinated that they were going to walk out in protest of the treatment that people are receiving, that we're seeing at the hands of the federal agents, ICE. Okay, that was the general thing that seems to be like what they were trying to do. The response to that was very interesting. So, like, what I saw was high school students, and then adults attacking the high school students. Some like literally showing up. A couple, one went viral with like he began to like shout and scream and threaten, high school students about this. An adult driving by, and bravo to our police department who did an excellent job of doing what our law enforcement is called to do, which is protect and serve. And they were there and they protected the children that were there. So I saw that going on, and then I saw my own son who called me and said, "Hey, Dad, there's this walkout. Can I go?" And my response to him was, if you feel strongly about this particular issue, go. That's fine. And now he's 18. And my understanding at the time was he could sign himself out. We have since found out that he could not sign himself out. And so there were some repercussions for that. Basically, just a little slap on the wrist of, hey, don't ever do that again. But that's because he doesn't get in a lot of trouble. So anyway, so I'm thinking my son's part of this walkout, right? And then I saw other students there that I know, and I look in the pictures, and I saw the different signs that were being held up, and so like some of the signs I was like, oh, that's really good, and some of the signs I was like, oh, come on, one of them was just a repeat of what is sort of is one of those throwaway phrases that everyone, like, both sides have these throwaway phrases. You know what I mean? Like they're nonsensical, but they sound really powerful, right? And one of them was like, what was it? It was the same thing that the singer, what's her name, got in trouble for, and like the indigenous tribe in California said, when can we expect your land given to us?
Oh,
Billie Eilish.
You can't be like illegal in stolen land or something like that,
right?
Sure.
Which is it's a nonsensical.
It's a non sequitur.
It sounds really powerful, right? And then so I saw that sign, and so then I started thinking to myself, it was like, so again, I don't want to, because people are like, oh, they don't even know, they're just doing what their parents, and they're really sort of making fun of the students, and I thought, well, that's not fair either. Now, and then I began to think, well, in all sort of these protests, you have some that kind of are informed, because I'm willing to bet that there are some of those kids that take their politics and take it kind of seriously, and they've done a little bit of looking into, and they're bothered by or whatever. Some of them are there because they hear their parents, and their parents are talking to them and sharing things with them. Some of them were there because they've seen people that they idolize taking a particular stance, whether it be a singer, an actor, whatever.
I think some of them are probably there because they want to be against their parents.
Very possible, right? I mean, we don't know all. Some of them were there because they got to walk out of school. Right?
It's always going to be the case. Yeah.
And so it's with any group, you like to just say, this is what this group is about. You really don't know. There seems to be this common thread, though, that this is why we're here. But why do we care about that? Or do we even really care about that? That's brought us together. So my own son, he wants to do this. He wants to walk out. Now I know my children tend to lean more progressive when it comes to their politics. And that's because of the house they grew up in, right? And they haven't been out on their own yet enough to sort of develop, like you were talking about. At 17, 18 years old, his politics could be very different when he's 28, 38 than it is right now. But he's sort of picking up a little bit of me in particular. So anyway, but then like 30 minutes later, he shows up at the house. I'm like, what are you doing? I thought you were good. He said, Dad, I walked out and I saw some of the people and I saw some of their signs and I heard some of the things they were saying and I didn't want to be part of it. So I came home. All right. So that's what kind of got me thinking about all of this. And I was like,
did he give any detail on what was on the signs that he didn't want to be a part of?
Yeah, he did. It was the things like F ICE.
Yeah.
And all that. He was like, he just didn't want to be part of that.
Yeah.
Because he is starting to pick up on the thing about it's not just enough to know what you're against. You have to know why that bothers you and what you're for. And even though he himself may not quite, we all struggle, I think, with being able to explain that. In fact, I think that most people, this is probably hyperbole. It seems to me like the vast majority of persons that I see on social media who are making are very engaged in activism. They do not know how to do it without identifying who the enemy is, who the perpetrator is. They can't, I
think that's what activism is.
But they don't. And I guess that's the difference between when I talk about the difference between a protest and a vigil.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of the way I sort of see the thing. Right. But one of the things I'm saying is, and this will get back to the article, is that I have to know why I feel enraged or or upset or hurt or frustrated when I see this behavior or when I hear these things or when I experience whatever it is I'm experiencing. It's not enough to just be enraged, because enraged gets us nowhere.
It's a really good point, and I think that if you pay attention, I think if people pay attention, they will be able to see that we use euphemisms like passionate, and we use it as a virtue. That it is a virtue to be passionate. That somehow is moral. It's good.
Yeah, like strength is one.
Instead of just being neutral. Instead of being a neutral thing, right? Like being hungry is not a virtue or a or something that you should be ashamed of, right? It just is. It's just neutral. And being passionate about something, I think, only becomes a virtue when you live in Rome and all of your needs have always been met. And so so this is your default is like everything is great. I think that's how things like passion become virtues. Anyway, sorry, go back to your
no. So anyway, so all of that is going through my mind in about 12 hours, right? And I began to think about, I think that what we're doing is as a society, we have lost the ability to be engaged, and we simply mistake we believe that we're doing something when we're enraged.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
And we feel like we're making change by being enraged, but enraged doesn't make change. It makes enemies, and it draws lines, and it creates camps. Engaged is the way that problems, where issues are resolved, is by engagement. And so I thought to myself, if adults can't do this, what chance do our kids have if we're teaching them that to be enraged is to be engaged, right? And I thought about that because like I can remember, and again, this goes back to something we were talking about before we hit the record button, this idea of that like all of your observations are subjective. There's no such thing as just sort of an objective observation, right? And so like as a kid, and I would, or even as a teenager, I'd think back and fondly of like the 70s and the 80s, right? And even as a young adult, I'd be like, oh, things were so much more simpler then. More simpler, I think.
More simple or simpler.
Yeah, I can't do both. Well, no, actually I could. I was just really ramping it up. So anyway, yeah, thank you for correcting my English.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So anyway, but they weren't. They were just simple for me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I went back and I was like, well, wait a second, Jeff, you were born during Vietnam, right? You were born when students were shot on the campus of Kent State, right?
You spent your elementary school years in the decade where there were so many political bombings and assassinations in the United States that the media stopped reporting on them because they were boring.
Yeah.
That's what the 70s
I'm from
were.
Cleveland. Did you ever see the movie about like the way that the mafia bombed each other?
No.
Car bombs in Cleveland?
No, but I believe it.
It was going on all the time, right? Gas lines because of the fuel shortages, because of what was going on between Israel and Palestine. And you got Watergate, right? And all this economic uncertainty.
The Weather Underground.
All of those things are going on. And I'm watching cartoons, right? Because my parents deliberately made this choice that because I know as an adult now with my own children, and now they're becoming adult children, that you make a choice about what you're going to expose your children to and what you're not going to expose your children. At least you should. And because I can remember a time when I screwed that up, and I was totally absorbed in something that was going on in the news at the time. And my kids came like home from school, and I didn't turn it off, and it like wrecked them.
Sure.
To like, and it reminds me of like when you said, you shouldn't lie to your kids. Well, it's a lie when you say that I'll always protect you.
Sure.
Right. I won't let anything bad happen to you. That's a desire.
Sure.
Right. Okay. So my concern is that I don't see us protecting our children. I don't see us providing that kind of shelter for our children today. because you've got middle school students who are discussing like geopolitical conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
And I would really like to talk to, because, like I remember studying like Piaget and early childhood development and all that kind of stuff and mental development. But I'd really like to hear like the critical thinking isn't even, and like, how do you, and we're hitting them with this constant stream of global crisis. And I think that a lot of people feel like that is progress. Like, well, because look, they're becoming much more aware, and isn't awareness better than ignorance? And right, and shouldn't we be trying to raise informed citizens and all that kind of stuff? But I think that we're actually causing a bigger problem. And where it really began to pop into my head is the more I studied and sort of adapted the Dunning-Kruger effect for my presentation that I gave a few weeks then after that. And so what we're doing is we're just really giving people just enough information to put them on the pinnacle of certainty. Or if you are familiar with the Dunning-Kruger, it's what they call Mount Stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But we're not teaching them the complexity of the world that we live in, of the history that we've inherited. I'm still learning the complexity, and I'm 54 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm reading a book right now called Caste, about how the United States is a caste system. And as I'm listening to it, and I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about it that way. And so it's just another perspective. And so anyway, I think what's happening is our children are getting awareness without understanding. And I think that adults are engaged in the exact same thing. We have so much awareness without any understanding about it at all. You've talked before about how, ta-da, boy, that went right out of my head. The Martyr Made podcast.
Yeah, Daryl
Cooper talks about the Palestinian-Israel conflict and how the more he knows about it, the more he's like, it just becomes so much information.
Yeah.
And I think that happens. Like, we used to think, like, we thought we knew a lot until we actually did.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know I'm talking a lot, but I want to wrap sort of this up because, so then I think the engagement though is different, right? It's this idea of being able to get as much information as you can and then become engaged with the complexity. Become engaged at sort of a greater depth of understanding than what we see right now. And again, I started thinking about Neil Postman and what really. So I sat down that morning with my coffee and my laptop, and I thought to myself, he's dead, right? He died in 2003.
So what good did it do him?
Right.
Writing books.
Appreciate that. Because we're still talking about it today. And he had that book. Yeah. I think that book is just, it's such an important book.
Yeah.
Amusing ourselves to death. But I thought if I could ask Neil Postman to comment on what we see today, what would he say? And that's how I sort of got the whole thing going.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean.
So anyway.
What do you think he would say? Basically what you said in the post.
Yeah, I wrote it.
Yeah.
I wrote it for him.
That we have been steadily progressing, he would say, since
and we can tell people what he would say because he's not here to defend himself.
That's right. Since the printing press, we have been steadily progressing as a citizenry toward having wider and wider and wider awareness of events and shallower and shallower and shallower and shallower understanding of those events. We know everything that's happening and we know nothing about that.
Can I post that on social media?
Dude, just take it as your own quote.
No, I'm going to quote, and then I'm going to put Lucas Dancy Cabillo.
No, I completely agree. And I think that, I think personally that part of the reason, this is because I don't think that humans act from an intellectual position. I think we act from instinct and emotion and drive and impulse. And then our intellectualism tells us a story. We tell ourselves a story immediately about why we're doing what we're doing. I think the majority of the reason why we do this to our kids is because it feels really good. It feels really good to sit with someone and have them agree with you. That feels good. And I understand it. It's a deep, deep evolutionary.
It's a cheap dopamine hit.
Sure. Yes, it's a dopamine hit. I don't know that I would call it cheap. I would say that it's deep. I think that it's like the thing that one of the things that made us survive is because it's related to social cohesion. It's the feeling that I am with you, you are with me, we're together. And, to hear your kid mirror back the things that you're saying, boy, that feels good.
Right. The reason I say it's cheap is because it actually costs you nothing to get that dopamine hit. Right.
Sure.
The enraged stuff, it costs you nothing.
Sure.
It's virtue signaling often, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I think like a costly dopamine hit, and it may not even feel like it, is the engagement part.
Yeah, but I don't think you get dopamine from it.
That's right. Yeah, you can't.
That's the point. I mean, like you get dopamine. The dopamine comes from the drive toward the things that evolution has selected for, right? And so, I mean, you're gonna get dopamine and serotonin and all of these things from the path of least resistance, right? And anyway,
what about the feeling that you get from accomplishment?
Okay. What about that? Okay. What are you asking?
Sorry, I got to grab a notepad here. All right, we talk about the dopamine hit. Again, I'm at the very beginning of the what's it called? The map of
Maps of Meaning.
Maps of Meaning by Jordan Peterson.
Yeah,
and he talks about this idea that okay, so he talks about cybernetics, right? And cybernetics is the idea that feedback loops underlie intelligent behavior.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but one of the things that he's talking about is that emotion as a guide is a cybernetics of feeling. Okay. And but then he connects us to the idea of what is and what should be. And that the goal, to have a goal, is I'm going to look at goal setting is distance, energy, and value. All right. Data needs perception, needs action, needs goal, needs values. All right. So what I'm saying is what if we reset what our goal is, and then we have the opportunity to experience affirmation, which is that cybernetics encouraging us to continue to move towards our goals.
Sure.
Right. And so if our goal is to actually solve issues, but not virtue signal, is that still an experience of dopamine when you get the approval for moving closer to your goal?
So a couple things that I'm try to keep it related to the original topic.
Yeah. Well, I think I am, but maybe not.
So we get as far as I understand, you get the dopamine hit it's an anticipation
of the positive
chemical or whatever that is.
Get?
Yes.
Okay.
It is not an accomplishment. It is in anticipation of the accomplishment, as far as I understand. And so, yes, that's what drives. That's why humans exist the way we do. We drive because we get this reward for driving. Okay. Here's my sincere belief.
Nothing up to now has been your sincere belief.
Cannot fix the problems you think you can fix. They will not be fixed. Not by you, not by me, not by anyone. What you can do is fix your own problems. And I don't mean you, Jeff. I mean you, General.
No,
I mean
get
Lucas.
it. Yeah.
I can make my own bed. I cannot create a world in which people make their bed. However, what I can do is a lot of things that make me feel like I'm moving toward creating a world in which people make their bed.
Mm-hmm.
And that will give me the same feeling. That will give me the same feeling,
mm-hmm.
the same dopamine hits that I would get by endeavoring to and continuing to make my own bed, except it will not require me to work. All it requires me to do is to signal or to talk about how I am getting the world to make their beds.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
you're talking about the Stoic discipline of desire.
That's one way of talking about it. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also talking about exactly what you were saying at the beginning with this post.
Mm-hmm.
If we, as parents,
mm-hmm.
were encouraging our kids to live honestly, work hard in our schoolwork,
mm-hmm.
have a good work ethic, clean your room, be kind to your sibling, say sorry when you were wrong,
mm-hmm.
these types of things that are in their control, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is fix our immigration issues, fix race relations,
mm-hmm.
fix how your society views gay people and trans people, fix
healthcare,
right? Fix healthcare, fix the economic system,
mm-hmm.
end poverty, right? Those things will not be fixed. They will change.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying, I can hear the voices saying, oh, so you just want everything continues the way they are. And that's just pessimistic. And yes, okay, fine. I come from a pessimistic perspective when it comes to that type of thing. My read of history is these things change. They do not get better.
Okay.
They just change. However, I'm not saying don't get involved in those things.
Mm-hmm.
What I am saying is I think that you were right on when you say I don't think that actually this is different. I don't think this is different culturally than it was in the 70s or the 50s or the 20s or
mm-hmm.
the mid 1800s. I think that it is much easier to get the dopamine hits as an individual pretending that you're fixing these big problems,
mm-hmm.
because there is no standard for success that could ever be met. Therefore, you can always get the dopamine hits. You could continue forever, right? If I'm focusing on making my bed, that's pretty easy to see if I did it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty hard to convince myself or anyone else that that's something I couldn't possibly have done, right? It's definitely something I could
mm-hmm.
have done. And so, take the immigration issue. I could talk about the immigration issue for the next 3 hours. We're going to have to go back at least to the beginning of the 20th century. And we're going to talk about Kennedy. We're going to talk about Reagan giving mass amnesty in exchange for closing the border and then not closing the border.
Mm.
We're going to have to talk about how as soon as we eliminate, right around the same time, actually before, but definitely right after we eliminated slavery in this country, we immediately started turning toward an underclass that we treated the same way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we wanted. We want the large corporations want underclass cheap, illegal labor. That's what they want. So it's not an issue that there's like the pure side and then the other side.
Mhm.
Both sides want it to continue for different reasons, right? I guess my point is that's just one particular topic. I think all of these topics are ones that we can expend our energy on so that I don't have to be held accountable by myself to the things that I could actually fix in my life, you know? And so when I read your post, I thought, exactly, that's exactly right. What I want for my kids is for them to be more removed from all these things, right? I want them to be talking to me about their issues with their girlfriend, this group dynamic with their friends, and how are they going to deal with that? Their boss at their first job is, kind of hard on them. How do you deal with that? They got a supervisor who doesn't seem to know what they're doing, and so it's making things hard for the rest of the staff. How do you deal with that? Right? I don't want them to expend this very limited drive energy on things that I don't think there's any possibility of making any kind of change in, when they could be creating their own life individually that would be very strong. That then maybe down the road, they could be the type of pillar that could make some sort of change in a larger way.
Yeah, I think that's the common ground.
Yeah, I'm trying to step over to your side with that.
Well, because I know you are, because I think that deep down you would even say that, and that's not likely. That's probably not going to happen anyway. That even because we would all, as a human race, have to be able to come to that place.
And I'm more interested in I'll tell you this, and then I'll shut up because I know I've been talking for. No,
I talked for a long time too.
I love Peterson's concept of you should endeavor to be the type of person who can be the strongest one in your family at your father's death. It's just an example. It doesn't mean father is more important than mother. That's not the point. The point is, you want to be the type of person who can hold it on your shoulders, whatever it is. And you got to start with your room or whatever, something small. And then at some point you can be the one that your family can rely on. And that's a metaphor. That's why he talks about it like that. It's a metaphor for being the one who maybe people outside of your family could lean on also in a time of trial, Yeah,
I think when I think about all of this, right? If we need to spend time, yes, first, and that's why kind of at the end I said there's a call to action for us as we all have to sort of try to become this person. But again, with the discipline of, it just went right out of my head. I just said it a minute ago. Desire, the discipline of desire. What that means is that you just accepting what you can control and what you can't control, right? Yeah. And so I cannot control whether or not our country is ever going to be able to come up with solve what appears to be our healthcare issues, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I can't control that.
Right.
But what I can control is could I be the type of person that could engage in conversations about healthcare in a meaningful way instead of just adding to the outrage.
Sure.
Right. And just the just sort of the violence of words.
Sure.
Can I be that type of person? And then if I can be that type of person and other people have a desire, can I help them be that type of person? Like if you want to be able to engage and have a potential, even if it is just a minuscule, but have a potential to actually make a difference, and you want to do that, I have some tools I can share with you, right? And sort of, and that because that's kind of what I've been working on, and then
Well, and I'm
and then with
reminded.
my children.
I'm
Yeah.
reminded also of something Elena said several episodes back in regards to education, where she said that if you feel that there is some sort of right that's being violated or something that should be, that means you have a responsibility to do it. That does not mean that you have the now have the right to talk about how other people should do it.
Right.
If you think that kids should be educated in a different way, you should be educating them, or whatever,
right?
Whatever it is.
So I have a responsibility. One, the thing that I can control is how I react to the externals, and the way that I allow myself to be transformed through the things that I see, the things that bother me. And again, that's why you have to spend some time processing why does that bother you, rather than just being enraged about it. Then hopefully, maybe I'll be the type of person that others see something in that they would want to emulate, right? And maybe it's start with my children. Like Denise got a call this week from Madison, and she just said, "Mom, I just wanted to call you to let you know, I now realize how fortunate I am that you guys are my parents."
Oh, that's great to hear.
Right? Just out of the blue.
Dream.
Just out of the blue.
That's the dream as a middle-aged parent.
My first thought was, I wonder what she just saw.
Sure, of course.
Right? Because she's working in the court systems and stuff like that. And so, anyway, but you want to be that for your kids, and then maybe your friends, and so you can create environments where we can be the best we can be, maybe. And then, like you said, I think that the only way that we can actually try to, if we do want to be able to engage in addressing what we might call like the big issues, we first have to figure out how I can be the type of person that's well equipped to engage in the big issues.
Sure.
Does that make sense? So that's what the article was about.
Yeah.
And in my opinion,
that's good.
In my not so humble opinion, a first step is to become more engaged and less enraged. But like we've pointed out, enraged is the easy dopamine hit that you're going to get.
Yeah, I would just say that I don't find it to be a virtue. I don't find it to be, you can imagine a scenario where you
don't find what to be a virtue?
Enragement.
Oh,
being enraged.
Okay. So
being
there's our common ground. I don't find that
being
virtue
passionate
either.
about something. I think that it's a neutral. I can imagine a conversation where we're going around and we're talking about how we have to be like see the humanity in everyone, even when we disagree with them or they seem to be on the other side of an issue or whatever. And you can imagine in that conversation someone going, "Yeah, but you know what? I know the harm that they're doing, and I'm mad. I get mad about that." You've heard people say that. You've heard you've had conversations with, and it's presented as if me being mad is a virtue. Fine if you're mad. I get mad. I'm not trying to say that I'm not some sort of like Buddhist monk here. I get very mad, but I don't think it's a virtue.
Right.
I think it's just neutral. It just is.
I think it's a signal.
That is clearly. It's
right.
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah, because but all emotions are signals.
Yeah.
That then you should process. Why do I feel that way?
Right.
Why? So if you're angry, be angry, but don't respond in anger. Think about why am I angry about this? If it made you sad, spend some time thinking about what about that made me sad. Right.
I'll tell you the vast majority of the time that I get angry about something, if I reflect on it, I realize it's because it's some sort of reflection on myself. It's a mirror. I've done the same thing in some other way, right? And and now I'm getting mad
because I've become aware of it.
As an unconscious way of saying you're like this, not me. When in reality, I did the exact same thing at some point. That happens all the time.
Sure.
I have an example that I won't share that that just happened this week.
It's about me.
It's about you. No, it's really not. It's anyway. But I like vented to Krista about something. And I got to the end of it and I was pissed. And I felt very righteous in it. And I got to the end, and as I'm petering out, it's so interesting because if you're an alien, you're just watching us as an organism, you would watch us the same way that we might watch a squirrel, right? And you would watch my energy start to peter out, and it was as if I had something built in me, and I just had to get it out through talking. I could feel my body start to calm, and as I crossed over some threshold, all of a sudden, all of these examples of how I had acted exactly the same way as the person that I was so angry about, 2 years prior, 3 years prior, my whole life, whatever, they start flooding in and I go, oh yeah, but I did. Yeah. And that's what I did. I did the exact same thing and it's like I could watch myself as like a roller coaster and I'm coming in for and the landing is, oh, I did the exact same thing. Is that why I got so mad at this? Is it?
Yeah.
It's a question. And, but I know that happens all the time with me.
Cathartic release. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
So again, I think anger, because we're talking about being enraged and engaged, the difference, right? I think that to experience the anger is fine. And maybe go out in your backyard and scream, right? And use all the words that you can think of. Sure. Or have a great partner who's willing to listen to you and just listen, right? And because I think one of the most unhealthy things that we can do then is to try to rescue when someone's angry.
Sure.
Because they need to process that. But do it, but then process it. And then don't respond in your anger. So, or in any of the emotions. Again, very stoic. Is that the discipline of action? Is that?
I don't know.
That one?
At this point, you are way more of an expert in stoicism than I am.
I've read a few books. Interesting. Okay. I think we've already covered our common ground.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Thanks.
Yep. See ya.
Thank you for listening to Living on Common Ground. Please follow wherever you listen to your podcasts and share it with your friends. You can also find a link to our social in the description. The more people we have living on common ground, the better the world will be.